finger roll air ball. All right, so we live right now. Tell the people what we looking at real quick.
We watching the Michigan and Illinois game.
This is crazy. This
Michigan is getting stomped.
Yeah, they getting smoked, man. 18-1. I just read an article today too about Juwan Howard, how great he's doing, and this doesn't take away from that. Juwan Howard's still doing a fantastic job as Michigan coach, but this might be one of those just bad nights,
Yeah,
man.
Illinois is ranked fourth, so it ain't like they losing some bums.
Yeah, and this is at the time of recording, y'all. I'll say this, basketball teams have bad nights. Everybody, you can't be great. It's just too many games. It's not like football where you got to be great all the time. But yeah, Illinois. Illinois has always had a solid basketball program. Who's their coach now? I'm not up on it.
I don't even know. I don't even know this guy.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Michigan 18-1. Are they the best team in college basketball?
I would say yeah because of the 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 teams that they're playing.
Oh, okay. I
The
got you.
Big Ten probably the best conference in the league in college basketball. Gonzaga number one, but they ain't playing
Yeah,
Santa Clara,
yeah, exactly. They out there on the
San
West Coast
Francisco.
barnstorming. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So I get a nod to Michigan. Like
Yeah,
you
and these
said,
teams, they're not traveling as much this year, are they? They're not leaving their region as much.
nah, not really.
Yeah. I figured that. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pick and Roll Podcast, episode 2. It's me, your boy C Mill. Who do I got with me?
Super Dave.
Super Dave. All around athlete. All around decent guy, even though he's a Giants and Yankees fan. You know what I mean? Take what you will from that. But yo, it's good to see you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, we both got Seattle gear on, but one of us is frauding right now. One of us is really a Seattle fan. But you got the Seahawks hat on. I dig it. You got the outfit going. And I really wish that people could see the Air Maxes you got on right now. But they fire. They fire. Where'd you pick those up?
Foot action.
Foot action. When? I said when.
When?
Yeah.
About 4 months ago.
4 months ago? I didn't even know they made them that color, man. Like, you might need to start a little page, man, because I've been seeing your shoe game lately. It's pretty solid, man. It's pretty solid.
Very underrated.
Yeah, it's one of the many things you do on social media that draw attention. But, if y'all want to, follow him on Facebook, Henny Hardaway, if you want to laugh.
Henny Hardaway.
Henny Hardaway on Facebook. Look him up. Right now, we're going to get into the show this week. There's a lot of sports to talk about. We're sitting here watching Michigan get, demolished by Illinois right now. It's 71-45 with 5 minutes left in the second half. This is a beatdown. But
Yeah.
Juwan Howard's doing a great job, and it's good to see a former prominent player actually do well as a coach. You don't see this ever.
No.
Yeah, most guys they come back and they fizzle out, or they never really get the right opportunity at either the college level or the pro level. I remember Jacques Vaughn comes to mind.
With the Nets, yeah.
Yeah, with the Nets, never quite got to see his true talent. He was just hired to be fired. Any other coaches come to mind?
You know what? Jack Vaughn is still assistant coach with the Nets.
So they kept him around.
Yeah.
That is
he
crazy,
was only the interim.
Yeah. And that's when they fired Atkinson, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, I still have problems with how the Nets got their coach. Yeah, it's working out, but that's because of the players. I don't think, Steve Nash being head coach, it means much to what they're doing up there. And I think it's really D'Antoni's show.
Yeah, because it's still D'Antoni's system.
Yeah. It's D'Antoni's system, and that's pretty much what it was when he came to the Sixers. That year we had with D'Antoni on the bench, when we got to the second round, that was all D'Antoni. It really wasn't Brett Brown. He couldn't coach his way out of the regular season if he wanted to.
Brett Brown was too busy thinking he was Popovich.
Exactly. He was trying to, man. They gave him too much power early on. But I like to see guys like Juwan Howard. I want to see more former players really come back and go to college or come into the pros and actually get the opportunity and do a good job like Howard's doing. I think it takes a certain type of temperament and understanding of the players, too. Guys who are just coaches don't really know what it's like to be the player in that position, especially at Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, Juwan Howard can speak to being at the highest level on both levels, from college to the pros. So, yeah, I appreciate watching this, but, yeah, they're going to have to get it together. The next team is going to pay. I don't
Yes.
know who's next on their schedule,
Yes.
but you're probably going to get your ass kicked.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen. But speaking of coaches, we're going to get into the first topic, man. I don't like this at all. Lloyd Pierce fired by the Atlanta Hawks yesterday. The Hawks are 14-20. They're 11th in the East in a COVID schedule where it's compacted, and they fired him. What are your thoughts on the Hawks firing Lloyd Pierce? Do you agree? Do you think he deserved to be fired?
No, but you know it's always gonna be the coach's fault.
Always.
You can have all the talent. The Hawks went out and got Rondo and Gallinari.
Gallinari, they
and
paid a lot of money for
Bogdanovich.
Gallinari. A lot of money.
And when you don't, like the coach can't go out there and play for you.
Yeah.
He give you the game plan, but once the ball is tossed in the air, he can't go out there and score a basket for you.
That's a fact.
So
That's a fact.
when you go out there and underachieve as a team, it always goes to the coach, which is unfair.
Super unfair. I'm not a fan of that. I really don't understand it. And I get that they signed Gallinari and Rondo, but I thought that was an incremental talent increase so the team is just isn't horrible like they've been.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was a total rebuild. We're a long way away from the Hawks playing good basketball, and they literally just tore this thing down 3 years ago.
When was the last time the Hawks was good?
I mean, they were good record-wise when
Yeah,
LeBron was in Miami.
With Korver and
Yeah, Corver, Horford. They had what was the guy?
Millsap.
The Polish Hammer. What was his name? You know who I'm talking. I hated that guy. Pero Antic.
Yeah.
Oh man, they had Zaza Pachulia.
Mm-hmm.
They had two of the dirtiest foreign players I've ever seen in the NBA in the modern times on their roster. But it was wild to me that what are the expectations? Like, I don't understand what they were expecting from that team the third year in their Trae Young's career and no superstars on the roster.
I think the expectation was at least second round of the playoffs.
Second round in the East? So what were they going to get to the 5 seed? Because, the top 4 seeds are clearly in another level of development
Yes.
and in another stratosphere.
That's why I'm saying, like, when they put that team together, they looked at it like, who knew Brooklyn was going to get Harden? But even without Harden, they weren't good enough to beat KD and Kyrie.
No, not at all.
So Atlanta looked at it like, we're not going to beat Brooklyn. We're not going to beat Milwaukee. We're not going to beat the Sixers. We might be in the dogfight with Boston. And
I
And-
don't even think they should have seen that. Boston has too many high-level players. Even like, I understand they signed Rondo. I understand they signed Gallinari. They got a nice young core. They have nice young pieces around Trae Young. John Collins, love him. I love him as a player. He's not playing his absolute best this year. DeAndre Hunter, who's injured. And then they have Kevin Werder. This is a nice young nucleus they
and
have.
Cam Reddish.
Yeah, they got Cam Reddish, and they got they got Clint Capella down there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got Clint Capella. They have decent players, but I mean, anybody from a mile away could see this team wasn't ready to really make a deep run in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Right. That's why I say they ceiling probably was the second. If they got to the second round of the playoffs, that they probably would have looked at it as a successful season.
I think that's ridiculous. I really do. I don't understand how you can expect second round of the playoffs. So what seed would they have had to get to be second round? That's what I want to know. Because who would they be playing first round if everything held true from the preseason expectation?
They would for them to get to the second round, they probably would have had to get to the 3 seed, which probably been hard. Because then at the 6 seed, you probably would be playing like Indiana.
Yeah.
Or somebody like that.
You probably catch Indiana. You probably catch Miami, which you might be able to pick them off. Maybe Wizards. And we're talking preseason. That's what you're looking at. You're like, oh, maybe the Wizards. But I will also say no one expected the Knicks to be where they are.
No. The Knicks got a winning record this far into the All-Star break since when? Like what, 2012?
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony.
Melo?
Yeah, this is definitely Carmelo Anthony. And I like the way they're playing, but it's because they have a coach of a certain caliber.
It's the Thibodeau effect.
Yeah. Thibodeau's going to come there and get that thing together, and they're going to be playing some decent basketball.
Like, nobody in the NBA would be playing Taj Gibson this many minutes. But since he played for Thibodeau in Chicago, Thibodeau know him.
Taj Gibson's one of those guys. I didn't realize he was in the league.
Yeah.
I was like, man, because there's a lot of old guys floating around the G League this year. I didn't realize he was still in the league. But for the Hawks to think that, like, I think even the Knicks were just as talented as the Hawks, and their expectations were really low. I just think to fire Lloyd Pierce at 14 and 20 it's a little absurd, man.
Yes, premature.
You're 6 games under 500. You're not halfway through the season, but you're getting there. You're just about halfway through the season, and you can still make the playoffs if you go 4-1 to do through 2 5-game stretches, heading out these last 36 games.
And there's a play-in for the 7 through 10 seed in the East.
Yeah, you get a play-in tournament.
You get a play-in tournament or a little round robin joint, so you can make it. Who's down there? My Bulls.
Yeah.
Charlotte, Indiana. Like you could win them games and get in.
You definitely could, man, and that's why I don't like the firing for that reason, because it's a total rebuild. You can't name one team that was a total rebuild, just where Houston is now, or Houston's on the way to. Once they get rid of John Wall, once they find somebody to just bless them and take that contract on, that is now a total rebuild. It's totally devoid of talent. You may see a 9-win, 82-game season there. This is where the Hawks were when they drafted Trae Young just 2 years ago. He's as good as advertised, and he's, Steph Curry 2.0, right? Like, is that fair?
Yeah.
But you got to get his Klay Thompson. You got to get his Draymond Green. But you gave him Kevin Huerter. You got DeAndre Hunter. You got John Collins. But to me, the only way you're going to cut that timeline down is if a superstar out there decides to come and insert himself on that roster and make those guys better. I don't see any way in the world how they expected, anything lower than getting swept in the first round of the playoffs.
They might have the Draymond Green on their roster, DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
He could be their Draymond Green.
He could, but they're still going to need veterans. Even those guys needed veterans to come to that team. They needed the Andre Iguodala to come there. They needed the Harrison Barnes to be who he was. Like, a lot of things have to come together for your team to come from absolutely nothing to something in a decent amount of time. And even that took 4 years. Mm-hmm. The Warriors, they let that last group with Monte Ellis and Steven Jackson and all those guys go, and Baron Davis.
Harrington.
Yeah, Al Harrington. And they gave the keys to the franchise to Steph Curry. They went and drafted, Klay Thompson.
Draymond. They signed the veteran Andrew Bogut.
Andrew Bogut was a big pickup. People forget how good he was.
Yeah.
I loved reading articles about Andrew Bogut because he hated every team he played for.
Yes.
He said everyone in the NBA is fake. I never met somebody who leaked more bad press to the media than
About
Andrew
their
Bogut.
own team.
Yeah, about their own team. Every time he got cut, all those guys over there are fake. They're not really my friends. I was like, man, I never heard anything like that. But I have a problem with firing Lloyd Pierce. First of all, I want to say, I want to play the black coach angle, because we all know, like, black coaches have a tough time keeping jobs in professional sports in general. But I think the NBA is harsh on all coaches. So I do think the fact that he's black played a part.
Yeah.
But it's tough in the NBA because it's hard to really motivate these players without the owners having to step in and pick a side.
And as far as like the black coach angle, 9 times out of 10, the black coach is going to have a bad team.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have time to see it turn around.
Nope. You're getting hired to get fired.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, Houston.
Oh.
Like,
They set him up,
before the season, it's like, all right, the team looked good on paper. Harden, even though John Wall isn't who he was, but John Wall,
no, he's washed
Cousins, and then you still had the shooting with Eric Gordon and whatever. So on paper, it looked like a good team.
Yeah.
But then Harden sabotaged the whole thing, and then now they're bad. So he probably will get fired next year.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, he's going to get fired at the end of this season, because I think what they're going to do is just do a whole revamp and to get somebody to come in there and just draft a whole new regime. They're just going to just do away with everything. John Wall may be there, but you're going to see him get phased out like Blake Griffin. Mm-hmm. This is it. It's the end of the road. And I do want to get to the Blake Griffin thing in a minute. But do you feel like the NBA franchises need to ease up on how they're treating coaches and the timelines that they put them on? Because one thing, as a Sixers fan, I can, as much contempt that I have for Brett Brown, he had to stay there. No other coach was going to be able to come in and do what needed to be done. Sometimes you're going to start off with 300 losses until the right players come by or until you hit the lottery and get that Joel Embiid player.
But with the Sixers, when what the Sixers tanking for what, 3 years straight?
Well, really, 5 years straight.
Do you think a black coach would have been able to stay around that long?
Never. A black coach would have been fired maybe a year and a half. For what the Sixers were trying to do, it was understood from the top to the bottom of the organization, and the fans understood it. So they everybody knew what it was. Once Andrew Bynum didn't play a game for us, we knew what time it was. It was like, look, we to the bottom. Because Jason Richardson was literally the best player on our roster at that point. Him and Drew Holiday, that was about it. And that was a bad time.
And it was like everybody that was good, y'all got rid of. Michael Carter Williams won a Rookie of the Year. Going
You're
next
out of
year.
here. You're going to make us too good too soon.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think a black coach would have been able to stick around as long as Brett Brown did.
And that is the racial component. And I just hope Lloyd Pierce gets another opportunity with a little bit better situation. I thought that was going to happen with David Fizdale, but then he went up to New York, and that was a mess. But the New York Knicks are a mess. Mm-hmm. Or they were a mess until this year.
Yeah, that organization is a mess.
Yeah. And that was the problem because Fizdale was a really good coach. Mm-hmm. He just, got stuck in two bad situations.
Yeah, he just never got a chance to get a good team.
If you're a black coach in the NBA, are you going to be a little more careful about the jobs you pick?
It's 50-50 because on one end you're going to be careful because 9 times out of 10 you're going to a bad situation.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, it's like I really want a head coaching job.
Yeah, you really want that job and that money.
Right.
Because even if you get fired, you still get paid.
Right.
If it's a 3-year deal, you get fired in the first year, you get $4 million for 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is kind of a money tree that they got going, a little cash pyramid that they're giving out.
Right.
But I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. 14-20 is not a bad record. For the first year the Sixers made the playoffs, I want people to understand they were a 500 team at the All-Star break. Not much different than what the Hawks are now in this landscape. They were right there, but we made a few trades, and then things started to roll our way. They didn't even let this coach get to the trading deadline, which really upset me.
And like you said, you got to realize it's the East.
It's the East.
Like
yeah.
you can make a run in the East.
If LaMelo Ball turns his ankle, you're going into the playoffs.
Right.
Because that's however many times you play them, that's a win. The Miami Heat, you don't know what you're getting from them night to night. You can beat the Pistons. All you got to do is just be available because Jeremy Grant is their best player.
Yes.
Yeah, you can beat a lot of teams. You can beat the Cavaliers.
Yes.
You can clean. The wins are there and the opportunities were there to win games. I don't understand why they fired him and didn't even give him a chance at the trade deadline to see who's available. If somehow you procure a Blake Griffin at the trade deadline and put him in there at power forward, that's good enough to get you in the playoffs in the East.
Right.
I don't understand Atlanta. I lived there for a long time, and this is one of the things you're going to hear from me, and the people listening are going to hear from me on this podcast. Bad teams do bad things. That's just what they do. They're going to continue to keep making bad decisions, and ultimately they're going to end up losing their stars.
Yep.
So that's what's going on. Like sometimes I want to say, you know what, the small markets, man, guys got to stay there. Guys got to stay there. Don't leave the small markets. LeBron don't leave Cleveland. But if Cleveland's messing around and they're not doing what they need to do, I don't advise you staying there because you don't know what your shelf life is. Mm-hmm. So that's what I hated about that. I hope Lloyd Pierce gets another job. Got to support black coaches. I need black players to support black coaches.
The Hawks are in a better position than the Timberwolves. I tell you that though.
Oh man, I just want to shout out the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've reached an important milestone. They are the losingest franchise in professional sports.
History.
And as a Seattle Mariners fan, a team who took the longest playoff drought from my other favorite team, the Buffalo Bills, after we made the playoffs 3 years ago, and now we're at 20 years. I gotta say, man, it feels good to know that we're not the absolute worst. If the information is out there, if somebody wants to find it.
Yeah, it definitely is. The Timberwolves are terrible.
And you know what? They owe it all to one situation, and I posted it today on Facebook. The Joe Smith debacle. Mm-hmm. They had Kevin Garnett, the MVP, all-time great, top 5 power forward of all time. They were making the playoffs, and they needed to re-sign Joe Smith. And to make sure he didn't go anywhere, they tried to pay him $100,000 under the table in straight cash and got caught. They lost draft picks, and they were never able to assemble a team after that. They could only get aging veterans and guys who other teams didn't want for attitude.
Sprewell and Sam Cassell.
Exactly. Sprewell, Sam Cassell.
Olawokandi.
And Olawokandi. That was, oh, man. Remember they had Zerbiak. They were trying to make a player out of Wally Z. And then he broke his leg and was never the same. And then they were just shuffling guys in and out of Minnesota. And it all goes back to that Joe Smith trade. They haven't been able to make a good decision. I thought when they traded Kevin Garnett to Boston, that was a solid decision.
Well, Al Jefferson.
Al Jefferson, they took back a king's ransom.
Yeah.
And they did nothing with it. They did nothing with it, man.
It's a snake bite organization.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I do think Flip Saunders, rest in peace. I think his death pretty much ensured that they're not going to have anyone who cares enough to come in there and do the right job.
His son tried to get in there and do a little something, but they fired him.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just, I don't think there's enough people that care about turning that franchise around. And then also, man, I'll never forget. This is how you know they're snake bit, and I totally agree. Remember when the number 1 pick went to the Cavaliers, and then Minnesota ended up with the number 2 pick? And what was that about? About 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5. And then the owner said, yeah, once I saw the Cavaliers had the kid with cancer, I knew we were going to lose the pick. when they do like the inspiration for the draft before they do the lottery, I was like, man, he got fined for that too, man.
Did he?
Yeah, he got fined, man, for basically kind of alluding to the fact that the NBA might be rigged.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the
Was that the Andrew Wiggins year?
No, I don't think it was Andrew Wiggins. It might have been Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett.
No, Andrew Wiggins was number 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Andrew Wiggins year. And then the Cavs got that pick so they could trade it to Minnesota. Yeah, so it could have worked out. It could not,
But no, it didn't work out for Minnesota because the Cavs went on with that pick.
Yeah.
They got Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, they got Andrew Wiggins.
But
Yeah.
then they traded it for Kevin Love.
Yeah, they traded it for Kevin Love. Yeah. Man.
So, yeah, we could say Minnesota probably still got the person that they wanted anyway, but then traded him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think the Timberwolves president's name was David Kahn. He was a wild dude, man. He had a lot of personality, but they definitely are a snake bit organization. And let's talk about let's stay with the NBA for a little bit. The Washington Wizards are starting to turn it around.
Yeah.
I know you're an avid basketball watcher. What are you seeing from the Washington Wizards that gives Wizards fan hope? If there's a Washington Wizards fan out here, I hope we get fans of all teams. But what do you see that's giving them hope?
Bradley Beal.
Dude's a monster.
That's it.
I don't understand why LeBron isn't on the phone. Because we all know LeBron gets on the phone. Clutch Sports, why don't you have Bradley Beal on your roster?
What is he, leading the league in scoring?
Listen, man, dude can give you a 50-piece every night,
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome. And they're actually getting decent basketball out of Russell Westbrook.
He still does too much sometimes.
Yeah. But you're not going to take that out.
Yeah,
You got to let him run.
Yeah, that's him.
You got to let him
I
run.
mean, because he only knew one way to play.
Exactly.
100 miles an hour.
100 miles an hour. He's in the left lane.
Yeah. Yes. He's driving on the Autobahn. He's just going.
But I do like what they're doing. Is Thomas Bryant back from injury?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I think he's out for a while. But the fact that they're pulling games together and they're getting wins is amazing.
And they're beating good teams too.
Yeah. Well, they beat the Nuggets, right?
They beat the Nuggets.
Because of the fast break debacle.
Yeah.
Fast break gate.
Yeah. They beat the Lakers.
They beat the Lakers. They did. They did.
They beat. Is Boston still a good team?
I don't know, man. Let's talk about Boston because I felt like they've never completely handed the franchise over to Jason Tatum. And now Jaylen Brown is starting to battle for that. And there needs to be one alpha, especially when they play the same position.
That's why I think they should have kept Gordon Hayward and let Jaylen Brown walk.
I thought so.
Because Hayward is not gonna fight Tatum for that alpha spot.
Exactly.
Butler will. I mean, Gordon Hayward will defer, like, all right, I'll sit in this corner and you wait for me to kick it to you.
Well, and he operates in different areas of the floor. He
Right.
operates from outside, and he's not a 3-level scorer anymore at this point in his career after the injuries. So I didn't understand why they chose to go the Jaylen Brown route. And to me, they have too many like pieces. And the moment they gave up their front line, I thought that was the end. And then they compounded that mistake by signing Kemba Walker to a max deal, and he's just too undersized for today's NBA.
I get why they signed Kimba because with Kyrie's ball dominant. Kimba is the type of guard where he'll bring the ball up the court and then he'll give it to Tatum and then he'll go in the corner.
Yeah.
Kyrie's not gonna do that.
No, not at all.
So I get why they made that move, but Kimba's not. He's not Kimba right now. He's still hurt. I don't think he's 100%.
Well, I also think Father Time is catching up to him. Like, he's got to change his game. And to be that small, you can't play off the ball. You got to be the point guard. It has to be your responsibility to distribute that. I like Marcus Smart as a player. I love his tenacity, his ferocity, the emotion he plays with, and how he just plays hard at both ends. But I never saw him as a true ball handler setup guy. I don't know what his role is with Boston. I don't quite understand it because he can't be maximized the way they're playing basketball right now. It's an awkward situation up there.
I think all of Boston guards are too small.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them, yeah. Like, and to me, Kimba needs to run point guard. He's got to change his game.
Like Marcus Smart is their biggest guard. And what is he, like 6'3", 6'4"?
6'3", that's about it. And they force him to defend bigger guys all the time. And really what they're doing is beating him down. They paid him all that money last year, so they have every right to. But they're wearing him down. It reminds me of how P.J. Tucker was playing with Houston last year. He was guarding 5s and 4s. They got Marcus Smart guarding anybody. He's out there taking charges. Now he's hurt. He's getting injured now. It's starting to happen for the Boston Celtics. And if you want to talk about a team that messed up the church's money, you got to talk about the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say that enough. This team was sitting pretty, and they just fleeced Philly for Jason Tatum. And they already had a good team there.
And they fleeced Brooklyn.
They fleeced Brooklyn for a lot. They had draft picks for eras. They could have drafted their next 10 years and they would have been fine. And they blew it all. And they just kept making, wrong decision after wrong decision.
And they got nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it, man. I think they got to move Jaylen Brown, though.
They do.
I think Tatum is the higher ceiling player. Jaylen Brown, to me, his ceiling is good player. You be like, hey, Jaylen Brown is a nice piece for someone else.
Yeah.
But, I could see Jaylen Brown going out to Golden State, maybe playing the 3 out there, playing that role. I could see Jaylen Brown maybe, I don't know, going out to Phoenix, helping them out on the wing.
I could use Jaylen Brown in Chicago.
In Chicago, he'd be perfect.
We're missing a small forward.
Exactly.
Otto Porter is not the small forward that
Otto Porter, man. Talk about people that got a lot of money for nothing, man. Otto Porter is living a wonderful life.
Yeah.
I hope Otto Porter has all the things that he wants in life, that he got generational wealth from just being able to shoot the 3.
Yes.
He's probably, I don't know, the most overrated contract in NBA history. I've seen some guys get paid, but Otto Porter, the story behind his contract is still amazing to me. That it was a bidding war that the Nets were doing with the Wizards, and they didn't even want Otto Porter. They were just driving the price up.
The Nets did that with Miami when they were going after Tyler Johnson.
Oh man, Tyler Johnson got they backed up the Brinks truck
The Nets
for him.
gave him a $50 million offer sheet, and Miami matched it.
Was that the capless year?
Yeah.
It was. It was the year without the salary cap. I remember that, man. Tyler Johnson got paid. A lot of guys got some disgustingly fat contracts.
They're set for life.
And all I kept thinking, OJ Mayo got banned from the league just before they got rid of the salary cap for a year. He's actually a good player.
Yeah.
I said, God, man, like, I don't know. I don't get it, man. But anything else you see in the NBA that you want to touch on real quick before we move on to the next topic?
The All-Star game.
All-Star game. Let's talk about the All-Star game.
I don't think they should have it.
They shouldn't. These players are tired.
Yeah. It was a 71-day turnaround.
Yeah.
From one season to now. And now you want them to the season was already condensed.
Yeah.
And now you want them to have an All-Star game?
I'll
That's
say
crazy.
this: the turnaround was a lot. It means a lot more to the top 15-20% of teams. Because the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Lakers, they were all in that bubble a lot longer than my Sixers were. We were out of there expeditiously. You know, Boston got himself out of there with the quickness. But what I'm saying is, like, a lot of teams can't have that complaint. But then for these often injured players that aren't load managing, like Embiid, you know, you got LeBron not load managing, which is amazing. I got to give him his respect for that.
Yeah.
You know, as much as, you know, I know how we both feel about LeBron.
Yeah, he never sits out. You got to
Yeah, he never sits out. You know, the guy is out there. Well, he didn't sit out this season. I'll say that. He took a season off the year before last.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I will say, yeah, I totally agree. They don't need to have the All-Star game. And why are you putting these guys at risk traveling with COVID? Because, you know, if Joel Embiid goes down to Atlanta and then he has to miss 14 days coming back to Philly, you now change the top of the East.
Yeah.
Because Philly is in a delicate balance where they're one starter being out away from, you know, not winning games and then not being able to compete at the highest level. Same thing with Brooklyn, Milwaukee. Yeah, a lot of these teams, man, are paper thin rosters, even the most competitive teams.
And it will hit my team the hardest because Zach LaVine is the only one from Chicago that's doing anything All-Star Weekend. So if he catches it, that's my team.
Yeah, man. I'm just thinking a lot of teams too. Donovan Mitchell, did he make the? He's on. I know. I'm pretty sure he's an All-Star.
I believe so. I know he's in the 3-point contest, so he got to be in
And
the
then, why are
All-Star.
we even having a 3-point contest? Just go down there and play a game. Or you know what? If they were bringing those guys down there for a bunch of skills competitions, I'd be okay with that. But they don't need to be playing in an All-Star game, and there damn sure shouldn't be fans in the building bringing their COVID, because Atlanta's not the safest city.
No, and there will be. I'm pretty sure there will be fans in the building.
There's going to be a lot of fans. I think Atlanta's up to like 30 or 40% capacity, but the city hasn't closed since COVID. So the NBA is playing a dangerous game, but I think they understand that this is what the networks want in exchange for giving up games. They're saying you guys need to allow us to have an all-star game in the skills competition. That's probably a TNT thing.
Yeah.
Because that TV contract is basically the money.
Yep.
That's the money. And then you need to be able to broadcast around the world and get those commercials in, those ad dollars.
And that's why the season is, what is the season? 71 games?
72.
72?
Yeah.
Because in the NBA contract, you have to play 70 games to get that TV deal. So
Yeah.
that's why the season is 72 games.
Yeah. Collective bargaining, man. In the NBA, you know, the players, they get treated very well. I will say this, they're having a tough time this year. One of the things that Tobias Harris and a couple other players were talking about is insomnia affecting the players. Because it was hard for them to sleep because when they have to travel, they got to get up early, they got to go do shoot around, they got to go do practice. You're somebody who's played a pro level of basketball, so you understand what that schedule can do to you. You know, you got to constantly be ready to get out there and play. But now they have COVID testing on top of that. So now they got to wake up 3 or 4 hours earlier. They got to go get rapid tested. They got to have these sequestered training sessions. You got to keep yourself in shape. You got to watch where you eat, watch where you go. And, you know, I just think it's a lot to be asking these guys to do. And then another thing that upsets me is, like, the fan voting still has a little too much impact.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Kevin Durant's been sitting out for a while, and he should not have even been selected. If the fans were more knowledgeable, I want basketball fans to start holding themselves accountable for what's going on, because he should not even be voted in. He's missed a lot of time.
But that's been like that for a while. Remember the year Vince Carter missed half of the season
Yeah.
and was the leading vote getter.
Some of my favorite players made all-star games that they didn't deserve to make. And I've understood that. But this year, watching Tobias Harris, a guy who has played far above his usual talent level, he's played far above his talent level. He deserved to be in an all-star game like Julius Randle, but he got snubbed. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I think the NBA really, I like fan voting, but it needs to be even less. It needs to be like 15%.
It shouldn't have that big of impact on the starters.
Yeah, and there needs to be like a committee of writers and coaches and ex-players that get the vote on the All-Star. They need to do that like they do the Hall of Fame. Because I just don't agree with this. Certain guys getting in, and you know they're hurt, and then the NBA selects their replacement. Because to me, if Kevin Durant's not going to play, you should select Tobias Harris. Same position. Go ahead, bring him in.
Who did they pick? Sabonis?
Yeah.
But you know why they picked Sabonis?
International.
No. They offered it to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler turned it down because Bam wasn't an all-star.
Yeah. I could see Jimmy Butler doing that. That's a very Jimmy Butler thing to do.
So they picked Sabonis.
Jimmy's down to die on the hill. Regardless of how I feel about him sometimes, he's down to die on the hill, and he seems honorable. He rides for his teammates, whoever they are at that time, until it's contract time. Then he's like, look,
Well,
I don't know who I'm going to ride for next year.
He didn't ride for Minnesota.
No, he didn't ride for Minnesota at all. He rode on Minnesota. Yeah. Jimmy Butler, man, he went Tupac.
Did you see the new rule that they doing for NCAA tournament
No, I didn't see that.
with COVID? When the tournament starts, let's say Gonzaga is going to be, well, we know they're going to be a 1 seed.
Yeah, one seed, yeah.
If they get COVID and they have to shut down because the NCAA is not going to do forfeits, they're going to slide them out and they're going to put in another team at that one
Wow.
spot. So you could probably have Delaware State at a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yo, let's go Georgia State. Georgia
Right.
State, we just need to get out of our conference, man, and don't get COVID, man.
So they're saying that they're not going to reseed. So whoever can't play because of COVID, when they slide them out, they're just going to slide a team right in their slot.
See, man, we might get to see a Jersey college. Let's hope that Rutgers,
I believe Rutgers will be in the tournament.
they're gonna be in the tournament this year.
I believe so.
Shout out to Rutgers, man. Shout out to Jersey, man. The home state, the Garden State. That's the real state college of New Jersey. Some people say, "Oh, you guys don't have a state college." It's really Rutgers.
It's Rutgers.
It is Rutgers. It's not Rowan. It's not Monmouth. Even though Monmouth is consistently better than Rutgers at almost everything.
Rutgers was ranked in the top 25 this season.
Oh, really?
Men's basketball, yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I wasn't keeping up on Rutgers. I try not to
Yeah.
follow Rutgers because it's a frustrating thing to have to look at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And especially when the coach was beating people up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just like, all right, man, I'm done hoping that you guys actually recruit local talent. When you're in Jersey, you're right by Jersey City. You're right by, East Orange. You're right by Newark. I know there's ball players there. Go get them.
Well, Rutgers football team is starting to do that now.
They are.
They're
They
starting
are.
to bring in a lot of local talent.
Well, and they got what's my man name back? The head coach.
Shiano.
They got Shiano back. So I expect big things out of them. And college football, I think, is going to force themselves to be back to normal next year.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what Rutgers does. If they can get a quarterback out of Jersey, I would really love it. They got the recruit from Willingboro, Chris Long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see him out there because I saw him play in high school, and he's the real deal.
Yeah.
He's the real deal. I give him that. He can play a lot of different positions.
Man, I went to
on
a
offense.
Rutgers football game a couple years ago when they played Washington State. Washington State their quarterback had 580 yards.
I don't even want to watch that, man.
And it was just a lot of screen passes. It was just like a bunch of, you died from 1,000 paper cuts. That's all
Yeah.
it did. It was just-
I can't watch that. One thing I can't watch is bad football. But speaking of bad football, let's talk about J.J. Watt. Yesterday, he agreed to a 2-year, $31 million deal, $23 million guarantee with the Arizona Cardinals. This is after the rumors of the Packers being on the board, Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns. He could have played with Myles Garrett.
Pittsburgh.
He could have played with his brother, T.J. Watt. What are your thoughts about J.J. Watt going to the Cardinals?
I had a feeling that was going to happen. He's real close with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling. And then once DeAndre put that tweet out, like, let's finish what we started in Arizona, I figured he was going to go there.
That is the weirdest concept to me. Because how is a defensive end going to finish what he started with a wide receiver? Like, I don't get it. Like, I see if Tom Brady calls up Gronk and say, let's finish what we started over here in Tampa Bay. That makes sense. You guys can affect the game together.
Mm-hmm.
What is J.J. Watt going to do with DeAndre Hopkins that's going to finish what they started in Houston, which was losing in the first or second round every year?
Yeah. And they had a shitty coach.
Yeah,
Bill O'Brien was terrible.
exactly. Yeah,
I don't even think he should have been a head coach.
he probably shouldn't have. But
A lot of them guys that come from New England aren't great head coaches.
and I think that's going to be the one thing you see with Bill Belichick's legacy is like, yo, a lot of his guys that coach, they ruined franchises. And it took somebody else to come in and get those franchises back right. Even though I think Houston probably, they might end up being the worst franchise in professional sports.
Yes.
I've never seen somebody work harder to alienate their best player than I saw in Houston.
They get rid of all of their best players.
Every time. Every time. Every time. I watched them just mishandle Andre Johnson, who was one of the most athletic. You know, he was a freak of nature. If you thought Randy Moss was a freak of nature, Andre Johnson did a lot of the same stuff with Matt Schaub as his quarterback.
Yeah.
A dude who threw 5 picks in the first half one time.
Yeah.
You know, like, so. But with this J.J. Watt thing, help me understand. Because they're in the NFC West. You got the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. You got the I said St. Louis. You got the Los Angeles Rams there, who have Aaron Donald. And they just acquired Matt Stafford, which I think is a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
Then now you're going to see a legitimate offense in LA for the Rams. You got Russell Wilson in Seattle. He's not going anywhere despite what they're saying. And if they do trade him, they're going to get great compensation for him.
Yeah.
And they're already a playoff team. And then you got the San Francisco 49ers, who all they need to do is get healthy. And figure out what their offensive identity is going to be. Once they figure that out, I think I don't understand.
I don't think the 49ers need to figure out their offensive identity. Their identity is running the ball. But they have a coach that just likes to abandon the run.
Yeah, that's my problem. Yeah, that's it. Like, if you hammer teams down, you can already impose your will on defense. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to make Jimmy Garoppolo a 350-yard-a-game passer, and you don't even have the receivers for it?
No.
You know, Emmanuel Sanders, great guy. He's old. He's not going to be able to do it for you.
Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans.
No. Then who's that?
Debo Samuels.
Who was the?
And Brandon Ayuk.
They don't. Who's the? So Sanders was there the year before, right?
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Sanders was there the year before, and I felt like they had their expectations are a little too high with their passing game. I do like George Kittle, but he was hurt a lot this year.
Yeah.
So that's part of the get healthy part we're talking about. But if staying on topic with the J.J. Watt situation, look at that division. How much better does J.J. Watt make you? Arizona. You got Chandler Jones there. You're probably going to have to give up Hassan Reddick because of the salary cap lowering.
Yep. I think you had to get rid of Hassan Reddick when you signed J.J. Watt.
I think Patrick Peterson's out of there too.
Yeah, unless he takes a discount and come back.
Yeah.
They got Buda Baker, which I might have him at. He might be the best safety in the NFL.
One of them. He's definitely one of them. But there's that whole middle level where teams usually get murdered at, and that's at linebacker and nickel corner.
Well, at middle linebacker, Isaiah Simmons got to step up.
He got to step up big time.
He started playing better at the end of the season, but I mean, it was probably like too little, too late.
And I'll say this: I didn't think Arizona's defense was terrible. I think you can draft kind of and improve. I don't think you go give $23 million guaranteed to J.J. Watt.
And that just upped the price on when Tampa is trying to negotiate with Shaq Barrett.
Oh man,
that just upped the price.
Oh man,
because if JJ at this stage of his career can get $23 million guaranteed, you're gonna have to pay Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, you are. And JJ's gonna count for what, $15 million against the cap this year? Mm-hmm. That was absurd. As a Bills fan, I'm happy they didn't do that because I wanted J.J. Watt if he wanted to win. I think that was more about money and playing with DeAndre Hopkins and playing in Arizona in fair weather. You know, it's indoors. You're going to be out on the West Coast. That West Coast life is appealing to a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. Your division is a warm weather division, so it's going to be nice out there. Mm-hmm. You don't want to come east and have to play in the worst conditions and things like that. And you're also getting more money than anybody was probably willing to give you.
Yeah.
I don't understand what Arizona's going to do. I like Kyler Murray, but Cliff Kingsbury has to show me something because I don't believe the air raid offense is sustainable in today's NFL.
No.
At some point, you're going to have to run the ball. You're going to have to be a little more dynamic than just tossing the ball around all over the field.
Yeah, you see teams started to figure them out.
And listen, I'm going to go on record and say this. I see slippage in DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't.
I see it a little bit. I'm not saying he's falling off all the way, but I don't think he's the dynamo that he was 2-3 years ago, because age is just catching up. I see him, he's a lot like AJ Green. He's gonna get his, but I think as an opposing team, you're no longer scared of him getting his anymore. I don't think he puts that fear in the other team.
Nah, I don't agree. I still think when they play teams, like he's definitely at the top of the game plan board.
His work ethic was questioned this year, and he went off on the media and just cursing people out, and he just had this whole tirade about how the media is not qualified to speak on a wide receiver, but since they can, he should just become a reporter and speak on them. It was like this whole thing where he was trying to refute a story that he doesn't work hard, which he's well within his rights to, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. From when I'm watching, and especially when I watch Buffalo play them, I didn't see the explosion that I saw. Now, that could be a function of the quarterback play in the offense.
Right, and you got to give kudos to your defense. True. Because you had Tre'Davious White on him, but then there's no other receiver on the other side of Hopkins. Like Larry Fitzgerald was in the slot, and
there's some decent guys. They got the young guy, and they got Andy Isabella. And they got a decent tight end. I mean, I'm just saying they got guys. They got a speedster there, I mean, I know what you mean. I gave my team credit until they allowed him to catch the Hail Mary, because Jordan Poyer decided to come and just blast Tre'Davious White while they're going for the jump ball. I didn't understand that at all. He was just way too hyped. If you're going to do that, just take a penalty and go helmet to helmet. That's it. Put him out. That's it. Don't knock your own guy off the ball and give up a Hail Mary catch, which could have been the difference between us being a 1 seed, and it changes the complexion of the season. But
how many losses y'all finish with?
3.
Yeah, because y'all could have been 14-2.
Yeah,
because y'all didn't lose any more games after that until
no. We ended on like a 8-game winning streak or a 7-game winning streak.
So y'all could have had the AFC Championship in Buffalo.
Just our safety, man. It's always the strong safety. The free safety knows what he's doing. The strong safety, he got a little CTE, so he's always trying to air somebody out.
And I was rooting for y'all in the AFC Championship game too, because I wanted to see you jump through a table.
Yeah. I was gonna jump through a flaming table, but we putting that off till next year, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with Buffalo. Our salary cap is dropping, but we definitely need to address like our pass rush and things like that. We just definitely need to get a little more athletic on defense.
I think that's why JJ would have helped y'all with being a pass rusher.
That's what I'm saying.
But for a lot, like $10 million.
Yeah, and he can set the edge against the run. But like you said, for $10 million, I'm taking JJ Watt. Mm-hmm. For $15 million, no. Mm-mm. I'm gonna draft, and I don't know. Kyle Van Noy's coming available. Might as well upgrade linebacker position. That can help you. Linebackers pass rush too, and that's what I'm wondering with the Arizona Cardinals. Where else is this production gonna come from that you need to compete in that division? Because you're still arguably at the bottom of that division if San Francisco's healthy. Because I think San Francisco, if Nick Bosa's healthy and they get all their guys back, they can shut you down.
I think Seattle's at the bottom of that division.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I feel like they're a draft away. Yeah, they got the safety from the Jets. They got him. What's his face?
Jamal Adams.
They got Jamal Adams. They still got Russell Wilson. They got a nice receiving core. The offense is always going to be able to put points on the board, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like they just need to redraft that defense. That's what Pete Carroll is still around for. Let's redraft another Legion of Boom.
That division is weird because I say they're still at the bottom of that division because for some reason Seattle can't beat the Rams or the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But will split with the 49ers.
Well, they just have defensive troubles right now. I think that's the main reason they haven't.
Yeah, they can't get pressure on the quarterback. They can't get pressure on the quarterback because, like we said before, there's no way that the Giants should have went to Seattle with Colt McCoy as the starting quarterback and won up there.
No, yeah, that's very true.
That's just not. Even though I'm a Giants fan, that shouldn't have happened.
And Buffalo, we had our way with Seattle from the few times I watched them this year, and then what happened to them in the playoffs too. It was just they got manhandled. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking and I'm saying, if you're J.J. Watt,
What about aside from playing with DeAndre Hopkins? What about the Cardinals that you see what they can do offensively that makes you say I want to go here for the last 2 years of my career? If it's about winning, I think it was about money. If it's about winning, like what about?
No, I don't. With even with him going to Arizona, I don't see them winning the West.
Yeah.
I don't see them winning the West,
No.
and the NFC is too stacked. Once you get to the playoffs, I don't think they could get out of the playoffs because at some point you're going to have to play Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
And then you're not winning that division. So you're going on the road.
Yes.
First round in the playoffs. Are you beating the Saints? Are you beating the Buccaneers?
You could beat the Saints because we don't know who their quarterback going to be. You could beat them if Jameis Winston their quarterback.
I feel like Jameis Winston's probably an upgrade at this point just off of pure ability. Drew Brees' skills have diminished so much. I feel like, putting Jameis Winston in there, we may see the best football he's ever played.
Right, but I'm still not
You're not sold.
on Jameis Winston. Not as an NFL quarterback.
Okay, but you still got Tampa Bay.
Right.
They're in the conversation. So you're gonna have to go on the road there.
Green Bay.
Green Bay. I think Minnesota will be back. Dalvin Cook, the new receiver they got this year, along with Adam Thielen, the young guy they drafted.
The Jefferson.
And then it's just you're a West Coast team. You don't want to have to come east in the playoffs. But you're most likely going to have to, whether you have J.J. Watt or not, and you want to be a playoff team. Does J.J. Watt put you over the top? I don't know. I don't know.
I think JJ should have went to Green Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. Green Bay probably would have been the best situation for him. I think Buffalo would have also been a good
Or Tampa.
situation. Tampa would have been a great situation for him because you're around winners. And the expectations aren't weighing on your shoulders.
Right.
And then J.J. Watt's always hurt. That's another thing, too. Like, I don't like to diss Hall of Fame players, and I don't like to take anything away from them. But this is a guy that's hurt. He wears a bionic arm brace every game. He's always hurt. That thing is huge. It's huge. And my thing is like, what's going on here? Like, how much production are you going to get out of J.J. Watt these last 2 years? Because every year in the NFL, guys just get older more than any other sport.
Wear and tear.
It's the wear and tear, especially at the D-line position. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a curious signing. It seems a little thirsty by Arizona. It's kind of one of those like, oh yeah, DeAndre Hopkins won him. Let's keep him happy.
Yeah, it was one of the moves where like I didn't look at my TV and go, wow, he signed with Arizona.
No, it's just like
It was just like, all right, cool.
all right, yeah,
He went
all
to
right, you
Arizona.
did your thing.
Like that still doesn't put you above the Rams. That still doesn't put you over a healthy 49ers team that's coming back.
No.
Like,
And it puts you right with the Seahawks.
yeah.
That's it. You just have something they don't.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson right now is better than Kyler Murray. And he's going to pull out a lot of those games. And then depending on how this draft goes, if you don't hit a home run in this draft and fill your holes, you got problems.
Yeah.
You definitely got problems. I know you wanted to speak on the NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah. It's like it's the quarterbacks are starting to prove that they have a lot more power than what they thought. Like with Matthew Stafford telling Detroit, like, yeah, you could trade me anywhere, but just don't trade me to New England.
Yeah.
Like years ago, you like a quarterback wouldn't say that.
No.
Matter of fact, years ago, quarterbacks didn't get traded.
No,
like
they
once
didn't.
you got drafted by that team, that you were there,
You were there. Yeah.
especially if you was the top guy.
Exactly.
And then now Russell Wilson is in the airways saying that he wants this and wants that. Like, where do you think, if Seattle wanted to trade him, where do you think they like the best fit?
The
that
best-
they could get something from him.
The most realistic trade rumor I saw was a swap with Dallas for Dak Prescott. That was the only one that made sense. But Dallas has real math problems. Shout out to B-Mac. He said it doesn't solve our math problem. Because they paid everyone else all this money. You don't have a defense and all your money is on offense. And Ezekiel Elliott, which I don't even know where he's at in his depreciation. Like, I don't even know if he's worn down or what's going on with Zeke. Because I felt like 2 years ago, he was one of the best running backs I had ever seen. And then now he's like middling.
With some there's a few real Cowboy fans that I know.
Yeah.
Either here in South Jersey or my folks up north.
Yeah.
When Dallas was winning, when they were 13-3, it was Zeke's team.
It was.
So when they start losing and Zeke numbers start to go down, is because you're so far behind now you got to pass. You can't run the ball.
Yeah.
When they were 13-3, Zeke was first in yards and second in touchdowns or whatever.
Hey, he's all around running back.
So,
all world.
Right. So he had the title of best running back in the league.
Yeah.
But once they start losing and his numbers start to drop, now it's like, oh, Zeke's declining. No, Zeke is not declining. Your team is declining.
Oh yeah. That defense declined.
Like
a bad like a bad credit card. Decline.
and they put so much on Dak, like, oh, Dak still had 400 yards. Yeah, you was already down 13-3. 31-3, I meant.
Yeah.
And now when you're down 31-3, now teams are just going to play prevent and just give you all underneath. So you're going to rack up yards.
Exactly.
So, like, I don't get when some Cowboy fans, Dak was leading the league in passing at this point. Like, empty calories. That's what Shannon Sharp said, right?
Yeah, yeah, they are. And you know, I like Dak Prescott as a quarterback. I think he is that good. But the problem is the franchise is built. It's top heavy, and it's all on offense. I'm like, man, what's my man's name? Who's the linebacker? I'm bad with names today, but the one that's always hurt.
Sean Lee?
Yeah. Is it Sean Lee?
Sean
Yeah.
Lee or
He's
Van
hurt.
Der Esch.
Leighton Van Der Esch, always hurt.
Always.
And it seems like the Cowboys have had constant injuries at middle linebacker, and they've been paper thin there for the last 15 years. I mean, this is going back to that win. Like, I'm like, damn, I don't get it. They're always hurt. If it's not a neck, it's a back. If it's not a back, it's a knee. If it's not a knee, it's a shoulder. Like, I don't understand what's going on with Dallas, why they can't seem to decide on what kind of defense they want to build and why they don't want to just go get a decent defensive coordinator also.
Dallas, if it's not an offensive lineman, they don't draft well.
They don't at all. At all.
Like, before you draft CeeDee Lamb, you had a hole at defensive back. So instead of going to get a DB, you draft CeeDee Lamb just to keep him from Philly.
Didn't make sense.
So now you pay Amari $20 million a year,
Yeah. Ridiculous money.
and then Michael Gallup's gonna he's gonna need a new deal,
He is.
and then at some point CeeDee's gonna get paid. So one of them got to go.
Yeah. And I always thought the Amari Cooper deal, that was the one where I said, I think you guys should pay Dak that year. And when I saw the Cowboys, I said, don't pay Amari, pay Dak in draft. Because receivers are coming out every year.
Yes.
Saw Minnesota, they didn't replace Stephon Diggs. It's too early to say that, but they got somebody with that pick. They went out and replaced that, and now they got 5 years of not having to pay that position. I said pay Dak, pay your quarterback, because they keep playing this game of chicken with Dak Prescott, and it's going to end up bad for you. And if you lose Dak Prescott and you don't replace him with a comparable talent, that's going to haunt you for 10 years. Because even if you draft somebody 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to take them 3 or 4 years to start developing. If you're lucky. So now we're 6-7 years down the line, and then here we go. You know, now we're talking 10 years. That's a 10-year problem. And Dak is young and ready to go right now. But it's time to start stripping away some of those contracts and start taking some losses in order to clean up your books.
Yeah, you got what you got. DeMarcus Lawrence making what, $100 million,
Yeah.
and he's not doing anything.
Yeah. But also he can't. It's like, I understand how good DeMarcus Lawrence is, but if I know that you're the only threat on your team is on the defensive line, I'm gonna throw right over him every time. We're just gonna attack the side of the field that he's pass rushing on, and he can't drop in the coverage. This reminds me of the Khalil Mack situation. I told people the Raiders were gonna win that trade, and they won that trade going away because they were at the bottom of the NFL and they got themselves to just missing the playoffs. But they're doing it right. They're taking the long way. They're just drafting well and drafting as many decent players as they can, and then they're going to try to plug stars in.
Yeah.
But defensive players, when you pay them that $100 million, unless you have a full young defense around them, a fully stocked unit, they're not going to be able to ever live up to that contract. Khalil Mack was making so much money. I said, this is ridiculous. And for what they gave up for him, I was like, a linebacker in today's NFL is not going to be able to affect the game that much.
No.
This is not 1983. And he's definitely not Lawrence Taylor, the only player who deserved that kind of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen, he's the only player that single-handedly made a defense legit. I don't quite understand what's going on with Dallas, but I do think Russell Wilson for Dak Prescott is the only thing, but that doesn't solve Dallas's problem.
It doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't solve their problem at all because they went from having the best offensive line in football for at least the past 10 years to having probably one of the worst. And then you're going to swap that out to bring Russell Wilson in. Like, again, I don't care who you got back there. Like, if your offensive line is bad,
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. You can scheme up whatever you want, but your quarterback's going to be under duress.
because look at him in Seattle. Seattle, their offensive line is terrible, and all he's doing is running around and just trying to just heave it down the field.
Awful. Yeah, they would have to have a plan or some steps that they want to take, you know, after they acquire Russell Wilson to kind of get him what he needs. You know, and maybe he wants to play in a bigger market. Who knows? You know what I mean? I don't know what that would entail, but I think that would be the best deal for Seattle to take back a younger quarterback and then pay him and have him in place. And especially a quarterback that's not applying so much pressure to the organization to do things that they don't want to do. Because Seattle's clearly not ready to do whatever Russell Wilson is complaining about, which no one really knows. We don't know what he wants to do. Come out and say it. Do you want a linebacker? Do you want a tackle? What do you want?
You want a tight end?
What do you want? Like, or you making noise?
What do you think if they traded Russell Wilson to New Orleans? Would that put New Orleans over the hump?
I don't know if New Orleans. I mean, it depends on what New Orleans.
I don't think New Orleans has anything.
what to give them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything to give him. But just
Because if I'm New Orleans, I want Alvin Kamara. Or I want Michael Thomas. I'll take Michael Thomas and I'll take a bunch of draft picks for Russell Wilson if I'm that. But if they were to get it, Russell Wilson can basically do what Drew Brees did in his prime. And yes, that would put them over the top. Now you're looking at a new favorite to come out of the NFC. That would be wild. But I would also like to see Russell Wilson. And here's a dark horse that I hope they consider. Minnesota. I would love to pair Russell Wilson with Adam Thielen, Joseph Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook, who I think is the best running back in football when he's healthy.
over Derrick Henry.
Yes. Derrick Henry's one-dimensional. Dalvin Cook does it all ways. And Derrick Henry's, he's really good against bad teams. I wanted people to know, I looked up his stats because I was talking to a Titans fan, and he was telling me how great Derrick Henry is. And I was like, he's a monster against peewee teams. If you look at his games this year, the majority of his rushing yards, and I mean, he put up astronomical numbers against some of the worst defenses in football. But anytime he played a decent defense such as Buffalo, you get 59 yards, 73 yards, 86 yards. You know what I mean? But then he goes up against Houston, 200 yards each game. Yeah, that's the quickest way to get close to 2,000 when your division stinks. Jacksonville, 189, 242. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing here? So that's why I give Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook runs between the tackles. He takes it outside. He catches. He blocks. He does it all. You know, and he's a very dynamic player. If the Minnesota can unload Kirk Cousins and draft picks and bring in Russell Wilson, they are now the favorite for NFC North.
Well, yeah, that could be something they could look at. Just tell Seattle we'll give you Kirk Cousins and some draft picks.
If I'm Minnesota, because they already have a defense in place, right? Like it's solid, and then with the second and third and fourth round picks, you can draft depth.
Yeah.
If I'm Minnesota, I'm giving up my next 2 or 3 first round draft picks for Russell Wilson. And then if it doesn't work out, hey, Adam Thielen, you go somewhere else, give me some picks back. Hey, Dalvin Cook, sorry it didn't work out. Running backs are a dime a dozen. Here you go. Give me a second round pick. I'll mitigate the loss that it takes with that trade. But Minnesota is a team I think should be looking at Russell Wilson.
And people they value first round picks, but Bill Belichick proved it. Like, I'll give up these first round picks because I'm gonna be picking 32nd every year.
Buffalo, Stephon Diggs. Yeah, we picked up
Like
Stephon Diggs.
if I want,
yeah.
I think I'm gonna be a good team, so
Yeah.
I'm not picking high in the draft.
Exactly.
So you can have this 31st, 32nd pick.
Exactly,
Like,
this
take
early
it.
second round pick.
Yeah, you can take it.
But I'll give you my next 3 of them. I
Right.
don't care because these guys are all in their prime. I expect to compete. They're fairly healthy. Okay, let's go. I want Minnesota to take a long, hard look and say, Seattle, what do you want? I would do a Herschel Walker type trade right now, as long as I don't have to give up one of my key pieces along with that, because Seattle probably would. They take a. I mean, Kirk Cousins. It wouldn't be the worst there, but they take a year maybe from being competitive. But with all those picks this year, the next year, multiple first round
Take
picks,
it right back.
yeah, you'll be right back.
Still probably wouldn't win the West, but you'll compete.
And Minnesota was a bad team this year. You might mess around and end up with a quarterback, or package up some of those picks and then go get a DeJounte Fields or whatever, or what's his name?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. I'm sorry. What am I thinking?
I
today?
don't know.
I don't know. I think that's one of those Madden players on my franchise mode.
Oh, you
I
probably
don't
don't know how
know.
bad Kentucky is.
Yeah, Justin Fields. Yeah, Kentucky is. I don't know what's going on here with college basketball in Kentucky. I just think they're finally meeting their maker, man. They met their match.
Yeah,
they're not
Kentucky's
getting
bad.
all the recruits anymore.
Duke is bad.
Yeah, they're all bad. But let's go to our next topic. We're definitely going to get into this one. I was excited because you're one of the boxing people, and I'm going to definitely send this to a lot of my boxing fans, including my brother. Shout out to all the fans, the real boxing fans out there. This man is more knowledgeable than me on boxing. I watch it. I can keep up, but he knows what he's talking about. Is Canelo Alvarez the best boxer pound for pound after what you saw Saturday night?
No.
Okay, who's the best boxer pound for pound in boxing?
Terrence Crawford.
That was actually what I was gonna say. I didn't tell you because you knew the topic, but I was gonna say Terrence Crawford, but I'm not so sure they'll ever give him the fights to prove it.
Right. Probably won't.
unanimously. You know what I mean? To be the undisputed pound for pound best.
Yeah. Probably won't because boxing is it's a bunch of politics going on now. Like it's
Super politics.
It's Top Rank, it's Golden Boy, it's Mayweather Promotions. So now like a lot of them dudes they don't want to cross promote.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, Terrence Crawford's in Top Rank. I don't think he'll ever get a top fight unless he leaves Top Rank and go over to PBC or whatever.
Or he's got to act like an ass. He's
Right.
got to go crazy and start
Right.
trying
So
to change up his personality.
His Terrence Crawford promoter offered Sean Porter $2 million to fight Terrence Crawford.
Yeah.
Sean Porter said, "No, I'm worth more than $2 million." No, you're not.
No, Sean Porter's definitely not worth more than $2
No, you're
million.
not. So that's why, like, I don't think he's gonna get the big fight yet. Like, he'll probably get it, but he's gonna be way past his prime.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, Canelo's good. He's great.
I love Canelo Alvarez though.
Me personally, I think he lost to Lara.
A lot of people are saying that he lost to Lara, and they're saying he got beat by Triple G twice, which I don't agree.
I think Triple G beat him the first one.
You know what I think it was though? The judges, I understand the dispute on the first one, and that was because no one's ever seen anyone take Triple G's punches prior to that.
Right.
So when they saw Canelo survive Triple G's best shot and exchange, that was enough to say Triple G had come down a notch.
Now, with the first Triple G fight, I do think Triple G won,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have been upset if it was a draw.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I think it should have been a draw.
Right.
But I do understand a judge that thinks Canelo won because it was the shot. Triple G landed a lot of clean shots, and Canelo was unfazed. You had to understand Canelo was special at that point.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. We saw this guy change his whole boxing style after fighting Mayweather. Canelo is, people love him. I think that's what it is. The judges love him. The boxing federations love him. I really think that definitely plays a part. But I do think that what I saw Saturday night did not help his case.
No,
That guy just clammed up.
Yeah, he had no business fighting.
Who was that?
Matter of fact, the reason why that fight even happened because he was a mandatory, so it had to happen.
That fight was awful.
Yes.
I was sitting here watching, and I said, "What is this? What is this, man? What are we doing here?"
Yeah.
This guy just clammed up and didn't fight back and let Canelo beat him into oblivion.
It was the worst 3 rounds of boxing that
The
I've
worst
seen
3
in a
rounds.
while.
It was bad. It was bad. I've seen some shit, and I felt like the guy it's kind of like an indictment on Canelo that he wasn't knocked out in the first round.
Right.
You should have just laid this guy out. He clearly did not want to fight you. He had, I don't know if it was respect or if it was fear, but he clearly just, didn't show up to actually box.
But I do have Canelo. He's top 3
Top 3?
pound for pound right now.
Okay, so who's your top 3?
Matter of fact, I got him 2. I got Terrence Crawford 1.
Uh-huh.
I got Canelo 2. And you can give me Errol Spence 3.
Errol Spence?
Yeah.
So you think Errol Spence is bouncing back from that car accident? Well, I know he had a fight, but
Yeah.
you think that's gonna have a long-term effect?
I need to see him in the ring with another dog.
With another dog, okay.
I need to see him in the ring with another dog.
Yeah,
we need to see him in Terrence Crawford.
We do.
But I on the other hand, I do get why that fight hasn't happened because we want that fight so bad. And if it happens, and then it's like, all right, what now?
Yeah, there's no fight after that.
Like, yeah, it's
Unless you do part 2 or part 3.
right. But I just don't want them to drag it out like Mayweather and Pacquiao happened 5 years after it should have happened.
Yeah.
I don't want them to drag it out like that.
Yeah, I got my own. Like, that's a complicated situation because I do think Pacquiao was on the stuff. And I do think, though, Mayweather was kind of handpicking his fights. And the more I look at it, I was one of those people. I was a Mayweather denier or a Mayweather supporter, I should say. I used to try to defend a lot of his fight choices. But, I think he really lost me with the Andre Berto fight. I was like, all right, man, I've had enough. Like, I even gave him a little hope with the Marquez fight. Like, oh, Marquez just knocked Pacquiao. So you know what? You should be able to, all right, I get this fight. But, and then he caught Canelo very young. Mm-hmm. I thought he should have fought Canelo again. If you really want that 50-0 to mean something, fight him again. But I understand health-wise why you didn't.
There's an asterisk. He's 49-0.
Yeah.
With an asterisk.
Oh, yeah, with the
That McGregor.
the circus fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that-
What do you think about him fighting Logan Paul? Do you want to see that fight?
Nope.
I don't want to see it either. I try to, for people who don't understand boxing, Logan Paul has as much chance of beating Floyd Mayweather in a fight as I have of beating Michael Jordan in a 1-on-1 to 10 and with no win by 2.
That's just like, remember a couple years ago on New Year's Eve over
Yeah.
in Japan when Mayweather fought that, 20-year-old kid?
Yeah. Oh,
Kick-
the
kickboxer.
The Uber driver. Yeah, he beat up an Uber driver. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mayweather taking these circus fights. I think it's a kind of a shame to boxing. It's kind of a disgrace, and it's just you know what would be dope if he takes this fight and he puts on a lot of younger fighters on the undercard.
I think that's what he does anyway.
Yeah, I think that like how Tyson did. Yeah, you try to bring some guys up on him and Roy Jones card. I think that's where Mayweather's focus should be. You're going to cash out, make your 50, 30, 80 million, whatever, right? But I really think you should be trying to put more boxers on if all you're going to do is be a barnstorm circus, the Harlem Globetrotter of boxing. Because I think it's kind of a mess right now.
That's my only issue with boxing now is like, boxing when we was growing up, the stars fought the stars.
They did.
Now you're not gonna get that.
No.
So now it's like, oh, I'm the A side fighter, so I don't want to fight him. I want to fight Joe from the bakery down the block. I want to fight him. Like Sugar Ray fought Hearns, Hagler, Durant. Like, you're not
everybody's
gonna get
fought
that.
tomato cans since the beginning of boxing. So for the last 120 years, people have been fighting tomato cans. But I've never seen so many tomato cans make it to pay-per-view or make it to a premier boxing champion, which I got to give them credit. They're showing great fights at the lower weights, at the very lower weights. Lightweights, featherweights, flyweights, all that. They're having great matches.
And I guess back then there was only Showtime and Showtime only showing fights.
Yeah.
Now you got Showtime.
Well, HBO was showing fights back in the 90s.
Yeah. Now you got Showtime, you got ESPN, you got Fox, you got all these other platforms. And like you said, everybody has fought some tomato cans, but them tomato cans never made TV.
One of the great things I used to love about boxing back when we were young was that you got to see Roy Jones and a lot of these guys, Pernell Whitakers and all these other guys, rise through the ranks for free. I didn't have to pay to see Roy Jones become Roy Jones. He was knocking dudes out on Friday night on HBO or Saturday night on HBO, and then I could go to sleep and talk about it in school Monday morning. Now, if I want to catch a decent fight, Premier Boxing is providing that, but there's just not enough. There needs to be more channels showing this. But they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. I saw some great fights, especially since quarantine. They've been doing a really good job.
Yeah, it's been some nice
And
boxing.
there's been some upsets. I saw a knockout a couple weeks ago. Who was the guy that got knocked out? He was the favorite. He was the champ. The two Mexican fighters.
Miguel Burchett.
Yeah, Burchell.
Yeah,
Oh man.
that was surprising.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that he lost to Oscar Valdez.
It was the manner.
It was just the manner that he lost.
Oh man.
I saw him losing decision. I saw
Yeah.
that fight going to decision either way. But when I saw the way he got knocked out, I was like, that's big.
I mean, I was watching that fight and I saw Burchell regain control in like the middle rounds, but then he just has no defense, and he took so many like power shots to the face, and literally to the chin. He was just taking power shot after power shot, and that's the first time I've ever seen somebody lose their legs, regain their legs, and then lose their legs again. I was like, man, this dude's legs went out on him twice.
For the longest, Canelo might be the only Mexican fighter that has some kind of defense.
I think so.
All of them other Mexican fighters just want to get in the phone booth and just go.
Oh yeah. But that's it. That's the Mexican style. You know what I mean? That's the style. But Mayweather got a lot of that stuff from the Mayweather fight. I mean, Canelo got a lot of that stuff from the Mayweather fight, man. I saw definitely a style change. I tell people like it's when Rocky went to Apollo Creed to learn how to have defense because Clubber Lang was beating that ass. Like that's what I liken it to. I'm like, he really learned how to use athleticism and things like that, and to kind of just become more agile and dynamic in the ring, and to really step around guys. And it's great to see Canelo's growth. But Saturday night proved nothing to me. What's his next big fight, in your opinion?
May 8th against Billy Joe Saunders.
So you think that's a test for Canelo, or is it?
Nah, I think Billy Joe Saunders good,
Yeah.
but I think Canelo's gonna like just overpower him eventually.
We got to watch that and then come back on the podcast. We got to talk to people about that. But I know all the boxing fans are very excited about this segment. They're going to have their comments. Make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe, share. And our last topic, Tiger Woods. Unfortunate car accident. We're hearing he has multiple leg injuries to both legs. He had to undergo surgery. He missed the WGC tournament last week out in California. It seems like his SUV overturned. And it's important to say that there was no substance abuse involved. Do you think Tiger's finished?
I thought Tiger was finished for a while.
I'm the same way. I just thought his career's been over. I'm not going to say his career's been over, but the days of him winning tournaments and being in that upper echelon is over.
Even when he won the Masters, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
At my old job, my old boss, he's like into golf. So we used to talk about it all the time, and then I'd be like, he'd be like, "Are you gonna watch the?" Like, no, I'm not gonna watch it, but I don't think Tiger's gonna make the cut. I say that every time.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiger's in the tournament. I don't think he's gonna make the cut.
No.
Like that's where we're at right now with Tiger Woods.
It's getting to that third and fourth day. He just seems to run out of steam. And his inability to recover from bad shots. That was really Tiger's game in his prime. I want people to know, like, if you knew Tiger Woods at the height of Tiger Woods, I am Tiger Woods. Like, his thing was he can drive the ball in any direction as hard as he can, but he had great recovery skills. And he could salvage par or birdie or double birdie.
Wherever on the course.
Wherever, because he drove that ball 500 yards. So he's close to the green, however you want to slice it. Now it's just getting close to that cup. And I just think the injuries and just the depreciation, the wear and tear on his body, which is weird for a golfer. Such a precision finesse sport. Like such a skill-based sport. Like for your body to fall apart like this, I have my own conspiracy theories about what happened to Tiger. I remember the articles. I remember the stories from the 2000s. I'm not here to diminish or tarnish the man. But what I'm here to say is there's a reason why I think his body fell apart and that he can no longer compete at these highest levels. And then you got, so Tiger Woods, if he retires today, he's the second best golfer all time. And I think he should be fine with that. You didn't beat Jack Nicklaus. In golf, that number is the only number that matters with who's the greatest, right? You didn't beat Jack Nicklaus. So what? Big deal. You are the most famous golfer of all time.
Yep.
You are the LeBron of golf. You're not Jordan. You're the LeBron. Let's just say that. And I think you can walk away right now with some grace, with some dignity, and people will understand, and you won't lose any sort of stature, or you're definitely going to be in the Golf Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But you'll also be able to just brand yourself out into the future, out into perpetuity, long after you're gone. As long as people are playing golf, they'll recognize you as one of the GOATs.
Absolutely.
But right now, you can't get to the third or fourth day and compete with these other guys that work out and physically train in golf, just like you taught them. And I'm talking about the McIlroys. Brooks Koepka looks like a tight end.
Yep.
He's driving that ball. I thought Gronkowski was out there one day. I said, who is this dude?
Shirt tight.
Yeah. He looked good. I was like, man, this dude is working out. That's not when we were kids and everybody, John Daly coming out there after drinking a 12-pack.
With a cigar.
Yeah, with a cigar, guy smoking cigarettes before the pre-golf interviews. It was a different time in golf.
Like, Tiger need to realize, like, every event that you step on, like, those guys know who you are.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're not going to let him beat us.
No. He's giving everybody the ammunition. He's taught
Yeah.
them how to train.
And you can't overcome that.
He can't. I mean, it's even tough for him to just finish top 15, 20. I'm like, so to expect you to win a tournament, you got to, like, have perfect weather conditions, and your body clearly has to be feeling the best it can possibly feel for you to win. I'd like to see him hanging up, or just maybe just, stop trying to join these majors, jump in the tournament every now and then, if you're healthy enough to do it after this car accident. Or just go to the senior tour, man,
Yeah,
like
Tiger,
20 years from now.
Tiger, he definitely needs to load manage.
Yeah.
He don't need to play every tournament. He just needs to play maybe two little tier tournaments before a major.
He definitely doesn't have the stamina. And that's what I'm saying. Getting to that third and fourth day, it's like this dude is tired.
Right.
He just doesn't have it. And I think he needs to take some of the pressure off. I don't know if that's the PGA saying, Tiger, we need you. Like, sometimes I look at that, but I don't even think they really need him to be there all the time.
No.
Just play the majors.
Yeah.
Play a tune-up before every major.
Yeah, play like a tune up of like maybe two little lesser tier tournaments.
Yeah.
And then play the major.
Yeah.
And then chill. And then look at your schedule. All right, I'm gonna play these two before the next major. Like, do it like
Right.
that. Like, don't go out there and try to play a whole
Yeah.
A whole joint.
A whole tour. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. And it's kind of like I'm seeing him and Serena. I want to see both of them hang it up right now for different reasons and just move into the historical bracket, maybe join the senior tour, or pop out every now and then. But I want them to just understand, like, you've had your time. I hated seeing Serena doubt herself on that podium and cry. Like, it was just like, this is what every athlete realizes. It's over. I can no longer do what I used to do at the highest level.
I'm not like with Serena. I'm not gonna say it's over. I just don't think she could beat Osaka.
No.
I think if she would have played anyone else, if Osaka got upset early in the tournament, I think Serena wins this tournament.
Oh, you think she just rolls through?
Yeah, I just think when she's playing Osaka, she's looking in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
At this is my younger self.
Yeah, just a slightly different version, a more agile, more speedy
Right.
version. You know what I mean? Way quicker.
Because leading up to Osaka, Serena had to beat the number 7 seed and then the number 2 seed or something like that.
Yeah.
And then played her.
With injuries. She
With-
turned her ankle.
with
Yeah.
injuries.
I saw the ankle turn. But I just hated seeing the breakdown of her feeling like she can't do it anymore when they're asking her if she's going to retire. And I'm like, look, if you retire, you're the most dominant single professional athlete of all time. You're the greatest tennis player ever, man or woman. You can walk away right now. It's totally fine. And you can go be a commentator. You can make hundreds of millions. just off your name, your likeness, and have fun. You can focus on raising your family. You can do whatever you want to do. It's okay. And I think it's important for athletes to know, like, at this point, it's okay for you to walk away. It's fine. We're not, like, we get it. You gave us everything you could give us at the highest level, and we'll probably never see it again.
No.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. We talked about Tiger. I hope he has a speedy recovery, but like you said, I don't want to see him just out there trudging through tournament after tournament, just being marched around like a sacrificial lamb.
We all know you're one major from breaking the record. Like, don't kill yourself trying to get that one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you don't get it, all right, cool.
It's cool, man. Yeah. Like, you're arguably the GOAT, all right?
Right.
Arguably. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be right there. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is, but you also can't take away a man's passion and his drive to compete. You know what I mean? Everybody's chasing their wild rabbit, you know, so, you know, like, I hope Tiger recovers, though. The car accident was crazy. This is one of those things, man. All right, last words. Anything else you want to touch on?
Nah, man, I'm just
I feel like this was a good podcast, a lot cleaner.
a lot cleaner.
Yeah, man. I got the Seattle Mariners jersey on. I think I really did this for the people watching on YouTube and Facebook. Shout out to y'all, man.
It's pretty. The jersey's pretty stupid. I mean, so I'm glad
Yo,
y'all can see it.
listen, stupid jersey. Yo, how the Yankees looking in spring training? What's the outlook for your Yankees, real quick?
We need more. We need to get. I need to see what we're gonna get out of this young rotation.
Yeah,
Garrett Cole is arguably the ace.
yeah,
Severino coming off Tommy John. We don't know how that's gonna work out.
yeah.
Corey Kluber's coming off an arm injury. We just traded for a pitcher from the Pirates. I forgot his name, but he's coming off of Tommy John.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw that.
And then we got Domingo Germán, who's coming off of slapping his wife.
Yeah,
So-
there's gonna be a lot of backlash. You're like, I don't know, man.
Like, my offense is gonna be always gonna be good,
Yeah,
but pitching.
pitching matters. The Mariners, we were rated the highest farm system in baseball. We got a lot of young pieces.
About time.
Yeah. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I was all settled in for a 10-year rebuild with Seattle. Like, we're gonna go through this again, but we have a nice young nucleus, and I'm curious to see what we get out of all these no names that are real, like, highly touted
They
prospects.
got Jace Paxton back.
Yeah, we did bring back the Big Maple, so I'm happy. I'm gonna have to get I'm gonna hold off on a Paxton jersey. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna see how he comes back and pitches, but he adds another arm to our rotation so we can go 5 deep this year,
I think
and we won't have to depend on middle relievers so much or specialists.
you guys might be a dark horse to win the West because Houston, I don't think they're the same. They just lost Springer.
No, yeah. Houston lost a lot,
They lost Springer.
and they're cheaters.
And Verlander is coming over Tommy John.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oakland is probably the best in the division right now.
Yeah,
And then the Angels, like, they're only got what, Trout? That's it.
yeah. The Angels.
Albert Pujols, like, what, 80? He's still out there playing.
And they're treating Trout like they treated Pujols. Like, yeah, just hit home runs. You'll be fine. We'll pay
Right.
you all the money in the world. We'll give you all the gold available in the world to hit home runs. I do think we have a chance to compete this year. And I thought the Mariners played very well for 60% of the season last year, but they hit that wall because of the talent they had. So with the young guys coming in this year, if these young hitters and young fielders can take another step, along with Paxton being back in the rotation and us being able to go 5 days and not really have to rely too much on relief pitching, which is what kills most teams, because those are the hardest guys to find, relief pitching. I think we'll be all right. So,
Good relief pitching is hard to find.
good relief pitching is real hard to find. Real hard to find. And I think you're going to see at some point baseball start grooming a lot of pitchers to go 7 innings like back in the day, because it's just naturally going to happen. Teams are going to have to figure that out.
Unless your bullpen is top notch to where your starter can go give you 5, and
Yeah.
then you go pull the bullpen 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you really don't have the bullpen, you gotta get them pitchers to go 7, 8.
Next episode, we got to talk about the rule updates in baseball for extra innings and stuff. But, yo, this was a great pick and roll podcast. I just want to shout out Super Dave again for coming through, doing this episode 2. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Indio Media. We are here, and we'll definitely be back next week with another episode. Hopefully, some great things happen. We'll be able to talk about the All-Star game. We'll be able to have more sports news, maybe some more boxing news. Whatever happens in the world, we're going to try to cover it, all right? So thank y'all for coming out, and peace.